Want to make the perfect lens for your helmets or props? Well, let me show you how. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Luke, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I make my lenses for all of my helmets. I've used this same process on all of my lenses, from my Halo to my Ant-Man to my Cad Bane to pretty much every helmet that has some resin visor or a visor looking thing. Besides my Clone Trooper and my Iron Man, they've all been resin printed. It's really easy. There's a couple tips and tricks I'm going to show you on how to make them look super smooth and super duper clear. So the first thing we need to do is talk about the printing. So when it comes to making the visors, a lot of helmets nowadays will come with two sets of eyes. So this is from a different helmet, but it is the meshed version where you can FDM print it and then have the similar looking visor which you can actually see through if you don't have a resin printer. But they'll also most likely give you a flat, solid surface of the eye, which then you can resin print it or do a buck or vacuum molding like that. In our case, we need the solid one because that's what the resin printer is going to need. Now, I will also say before we continue on, sometimes in my resin prints that I've been doing tests on, you'll get a little bubble line, like a line of bubbles that have been trapped within the resin. I'm not 100% sure as of yet on how to remove these. I've just kind of lived with them. They don't really disrupt the look of the visor because a lot of the time it'll be on your eye, so they kind of fade out. This one was a really good test. There was absolutely no bubbles through this one, but I think you just got to be really careful with what resins you use and be careful on how you set up your printer and that sort of stuff. But if you have any ideas on how to remove those, leave a comment down below because I'm really interested in to know how to do that. So the first thing we need to do is obviously get our resin print, which is just standard settings on your resin. Just print it out. That's what I've been doing the entire time. But the other thing you also need to think about is what resins you're using. Now, obviously, if you just use like a black resin, you might not be able to see through it. A grey, you might not be able to see through it. Or just any solid color, you probably won't be able to see through. Now, for my reds, I used this. This is Elegoo's just standard red. Now, it doesn't say it's clear red. I know I just literally said don't use the colors unless they say clear. But somehow this resin's clear. Now this might go for the green and the blue and the yellow and maybe the black in their line. I've used their grey before and it is a dead solid color. There is no clarity to this at all. But for some reason this red, which is just their standard polymer resin in red, is crystal clear once you do these steps. But also do look out for some of the Sunlu clear range. A lot of those resins are really good, and I've used them before. But if you also can't find there any that are tinted in that exact color, you can always just tint them yourselves, which I have done before, which I just take some clear resin and then some dyes. I'd recommend some of those Monocure 3D dyes. I'll leave a link of them into the description, which they have all of the colors you sort of need, and then you just sort of add them, mix them up, so you can kind of make any color you want. But most of my lenses that I typically will make are red, like Ant-Man, like Vader, and then like Cad Bane, which are all, well, red. But when it comes to something like my Wasp helmet that is coming up, I'm going to need to find a yellow. Probably will maybe try some of this resin in the yellow. I'll report to that. If you are interested in that, I might just put it on Instagram at some point if I do figure it out. If not, I'll just buy some of the clear resin and then tint it yellow. So do test resins out, see if other people have used different resins and see what they look like in the end. But for this video, I'm using red lenses, which will be this red resin. So yeah, now on to the rest of it. All right, so the first step we need to do is some wet sanding. Now this wet sanding will take off that first, like our outer layer of the resin, which is often like affected by when you do the wash and the curing. So do make sure to wet sand these off. Wet sanding this will also give you a really nice, super smooth base ready for our other products that we will put on it. Now, I recommend going through with some 800, then 1000, then maybe 2000 at the start. Definitely focus a lot on that 800. That one is the most important layer. That's the most one that's gonna do the bulk of the work. And once we do the other steps, that first layer can't really be changed. So once we've sanded it, there's no real going back, if that makes sense. It's a little bit confusing, but you'll understand when we put some other products on it, that then it kind of gets layered over. So then you have to kind of remove all of those layers to get back to the bare bone. So make sure that first initial sand of the 800 is super smooth, then work your way up from 1000 to then 2000. Now this next step is a little bit weird. Now I found out if you clear coat clear resins, they look really good. So once I'm happy with how this all looks, I will douse the thing in one big heavy coat. I don't care about runs. Do try and avoid them just because they're a pain to fix. But I'm not worried. Don't bother doing mist coats or anything. Just go one big heavy coat of clear coat on both sides of the visor. This is just some duper color 1K clear. You can do it with a 2K if you wanted to, but any really high gloss clear will do the job perfectly. Once that's done, it's time to wet sand again. This wet sand can only be at about 1,000, maybe 2,000, and just make sure you smooth out that clear coat. If you've ever seen auto body work done, it's that sort of same method. You're not trying to break through the entire clear coat, you're just trying to make the clear coat nice and even so that we can apply some polishing compound. So on to the compound. Now, this is just Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. I find this stuff is super, super good. I've used it on multiple helmets in restoring colors after clear coats, and it works really well at cutting back this clear coat after we've wet sanded it and bringing that shine and that clarity through these lenses. So once I've done that, I've just really pushed into both sides of it. If you do have a mini electric polisher, go for it. I didn't have any and I haven't got one, but I did just purchase one. But it just going through with just a regular old buffing pad will do the job perfectly. Just make sure you're sitting in that same spot, getting really nice even coverage over everything. After that's done, I'll just wipe it off with a microfiber towel just to clean it off, just remove any of the excess that may have been put on. And then guess what? We're repeating another step. We're gonna douse the thing in clear coat again. Now for this lens, I actually managed to get it super good on the first try, meaning I left it on the compound and then went to the last step, which I'll talk about in a minute. But if you don't like it, go back, add some clear coat. Now, I don't know if you can actually add clear coat over this compound. I mean, I don't see why you can't because I have, but that's what I've done for quite a few of my lenses. If I weren't exactly happy with it, I'll douse it back in some clear coat, wet sand that back again, and then add some more polish. And by then, by the second or third clear coat, sand, and buff polish, it looks pretty good by then. But if you've managed to get it on the first try, that's amazing. That's what I've done on this lens, but don't be afraid to just add a second layer of clear coat, do another wet sand, add some more buffing compound. If you don't like it again, do those same 3 steps again. But then, once you're happy with something, I just like to go over some butter wet wax. This is by the Chemical Guys. I really like this. It's banana scented and it smells amazing. But this butter wet wax just gives you a little bit more of a shine. It doesn't help with seeing through it at all. It's just once it's in the thing, you kind of get a little bit of a nice texture between the whole helmet and then some really nice clear, glossy, reflective eyes, which I really like the look of within my builds. Especially this one, which is Darth Vader, when you've got a whole gloss black helmet and then a nice red lens with a little bit of an extra shine, looks really, really good. If you don't really want to add any wet wax or a wax over the lens, that's totally fine. I just like to do it, like I said, just to make things look better. And well then, that's pretty much it. It's quite simple. I do want to find out some little kinks like those bubbles I mentioned, just to make things a little bit more understandable and things that I could maybe fix to make every lens look like this. Now I did get a tiny little layer problem thing up the top, but most of the time once it's in my eye, I don't actually see it. So don't be too fussed on how the resin's quality is. If you are an expert with resin, maybe go down that line and see if you can get a really nice clean print, because that'll help definitely in making these lenses. But I don't really know much about resin, so I just print them and then do the same steps and then call it a day. I do really hope this video helped you in some way in just understanding how I do these. Yes, it's not the perfect method. I will probably be updating this once I find out some more stuff. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next week. We've got a Cade 6 helmet. I'm pretty sure it'll be done by then.